everyone. You're watching 123 Conversations. I'm Candace Thomas, Intuitive Coach, which is just a fancy pants way of saying I help leaders recognize and use their intuition to get results tangible in the world, impact for themselves, their clients, and their communities. And I'm joined by my co-host, Terry Dean, who is master of marketing, sales, has her hands in all things creative, is a super connector person who just seems to find getting people right place, right time, beautiful opportunities. Our special guest today is Tiffany Gravelle, and she's here talking to us about her book. But before we hop into that, I just want to, for those of you here in Albuquerque, because Terry, I, and Tiffany are in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Tiffany is kind of a major player in our area, though you might not know that yet. So she was actually the founding president of our chapter here in Albuquerque for Fem City. And then it passed on. It's gone through a couple hands since then. But at the time that she was leading it, it was like well known for being one of the fastest growing chapters in the organization. Plus, she also started or was part of the group that started River of Lights at the Albuquerque Bio Park. Plus, she also started or was part of the group that started the World Adult Kickball Association. She just recently was a part of another organization that helped collect a whole bunch of presents for Title I homeless families. And the list goes on and on and on. So when Tiffany was talking to me, because we talk with all of our guests about how we can introduce them and what to highlight, and I just had this epiphany that, like, Tiffany, you are a serial legacy builder, that not only has she been in entrepreneurship and leadership since she was 10 years old, and she said she had like business cards and everything at 10 years old. That's incredible. Like, bought her own bike, bought contact lenses as she got older. Like, that's phenomenal to me. But she has built things that still people were able to carry on after she left or moved on. And she has this great knack for understanding when it's time to hop into another aspect and continue legacy building somewhere else. So I said, you're a serial legacy builder. You know, people talk about serial entrepreneurship, but I just strongly felt that she's like serial legacy builder. And I'm so grateful that you're here with us, sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. Today's topic, and we're going to have her back again because she said a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm like, what? Like, we've got to cover all the bases. But today, Tiffany's talking to us about her latest book, which is Blended, Not Stirred, Real Life Tips for Blending Your Bunch, which is about blended families, which we'll get into. And she also told us that she just won an award for that this book was named one of the top 100 independent books of 2020, which is a huge deal. So thank you so much for coming, Tiffany. And I'm already just super excited to talk with you today. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. The energy that you and Terry bring to everything you do is so contagious. It's like getting all hopped up at home. So I'm really happy to be here.
Hopefully that's a good hopped up.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Right. Getting hopped up. So tell us more about blended families, which is your focus now. What is it? What is a blended family, first of all, and what prompted you to create this book?
Well, a blended family can actually come in many different forms. In my case, it was two parents that had previous marriages and children that blended into another family, kind of mixing everyone up. But it can also be grandparents raising their grandchildren or other relatives. It can be foster families. It can be new partnerships that for unmarried or single parents when they blend into a new partnership, whether there's kids involved or not. And it's just really, there's no one size fits all blend.
Right. So how did you get into even wanting to talk about blended families or writing the book? What was the motivation behind it?
Because it's freaking hard. Girls, it's hard. And it's isolating and it's lonely and it's frustrating and it makes you feel crazy. Like, you know, so when I personally was going through that process, I really wished I had, you know, some more resources to rely on, because when you kind of share some of this information with your friends or family members, they get really defensive for you, right? They're like, I can't believe that. That's terrible. When all you really need is like a listening ear. And then sometimes they'll give you well-intended advice that's just really, really not applicable. And you don't know unless you're in the situation. So it started actually in 2014. I was sitting at my desk after a particularly challenging day, and I took Post-it notes and wrote out all these different topics that we were really struggling with, and kind of looked at it and thought, wow, that could be a book. And I took a picture of it on my cell phone. And when we continued to blend, and I can say it was about 7 or 8 years when our family finally became cohesive, and I actually married my husband in 2019, when 2020 hit and we were kind of in a lockdown space, and family has always been really important to me, but even more so now, being quarantined together and watching my kids get older, that I just knew it was time. It was time to talk about it. And it was time to be a little vulnerable and authentic,
Right.
so that people would relate to our experiences. And fortunately, a lot of people have. I've had great feedback from readers that are not only in the throes of their own blended family, but from people that were children of blended families that have said, gosh, I wish my parents had read this book, or gosh, I wish I had known this, or now I have such a deeper empathy for my parents because it gave me a new level of understanding.
That's pretty incredible. Yeah.
Right. And I like that you touched on the fact that it doesn't always have to involve families with children.
Right.
Because even like merging households, merging hearts, especially too as we become a little bit older and maybe a little bit more set in our ways, we have
you're kind of fully cooked.
certain criteria, and things that are deal breakers that maybe would not be deal breakers in our 20s and 30s. So yeah, I like it that you're acknowledging all pieces of, when you merge households.
Yeah, you're really bringing, it's not just you that you're bringing to the table. It's your religion or background or beliefs, your childhood experiences, your feelings, what you eat for dinner, how you get ready as a person, how you think and feel about politics or any other number of issues, what your hobbies are. You're throwing it in the cocktail glass and you're shaking it up. And sometimes it's easier to throw it in a blender and then stir it up. So you just get to a different point.
Right.
You raise a really interesting point though, Terry, because as an adult, is it hard? Because, you can be set in your ways and have your belief system and feel very firm about things. And I know, your book probably goes into, well, how do you deal with that? Like, do you find that people adapt some sort of flexibility, or is it more like you just work around people's standards and belief systems?
In my opinion, it's a little bit of both. I think that humans are continuous learners, and so you can always learn something new. But as Terry mentioned, what deal breakers may have been in your life earlier certainly adjust as you get older, and you know better how you're adapting to how you will or will not let people treat you. And I think, at least in my experience, I've really softened with age, where I think things that my husband does now, had we been married in our 20s, it probably wouldn't have worked. And so it was really timing. And it was really being open to change and getting to know someone. And in our case, having that really deep commitment to each other that was unwilling to be shaken by anyone else's thoughts and opinions.
Right. No, and that's the other side of the equation. It's like there are the things that are the deal breakers now, but hopefully with that, there's been maturity and a deeper understanding of like that heart connection. And when you appreciate people more, I think.
Oh, for sure.
They're not as disposable as they were when you're young. It's like, oh, whatever, I'll just go get another one, or I'll just find another person. It's like, no, this person is really worth the work and really worth the investment. And being able, I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and really it's like being able to love someone like this, not love them like that.
100%.
And let them be who they are and support them in their journey with where they are at any given time. I want that. I don't want to be locked in or feel constricted. I want to be loved like that. So,
and it took that time for our family to feel loved in that way, because we first got together in 2011 and didn't get married until 2019. And we got a lot of feedback on that too. Like, when, where, why not? Why are you still together? You know, we went through some hard shit. And we had to work through that together and as a family. And I'm living my best life right now with these people.
So
I
great.
couldn't have imagined anything more beautiful than where I am now. And it was worth the work for sure.
Great. So great.
Yeah. So how do you feel like all of your skills and your history and leadership and like getting businesses to go and run and work and doing like phenomenal PR for people and starting all these things, how did that impact how you were able to deal with the family dynamics?
You know, what's interesting is it was a really deep learning experience, because when we got together, I had 2 children. So I thought I knew mothering. Like I had it. I got it. Like I know how to be a mom. You know nothing. You know nothing when you enter into a blended family. So while I used my skill set most certainly to organize, to communicate, to set up events that would blend our family even deeper, to create traditions and holidays and things that would belong to us, what I've learned at the end that I can always get better at, and I keep having this example pop into my life, is my personal ego. Because you have to put your ego aside when you're raising kids, blending a family, and creating a home with somebody. And so there were many times where my kids did or said something, including my partner, that really, really hurt my feelings. And I'm kind of like a sensitive pumpkin, but it was never meant with malice, you know? And so when you can kind of pull your own feelings back and take another look and find of like, why is this being said? What is the impetus of this conversation? What feelings are in the mix right now? Which I mentioned in the book is considering challenging feelings, because it's not just you. Right. And so it's like imagining a group project at work, but never getting to go home and leave, having to sit down and eat with these people, like being exposed to them all the time and them never being on the same page as you. That's what blending families are like.
That's intense.
And if you can handle that, you can handle everything. And that's the most important, if you want to call it a job or task. And for anyone.
I think what it did too is it really aligned my values and honed them in a way that I maybe didn't have before. Because even with my other careers, I've done great and amazing things, and I'm really proud of that. But some of it was related to ego, right? Because I wanted the recognition, I wanted the title, I wanted to keep moving up, I wanted to, you know, be that girl that was like, you know, what did they call it? Girl Friday, where you could do everything, you know? And walking through blending my family humbled me in a way I did not expect, created more love in my life that I could have never, ever anticipated. And I thought I was good. It weeded out my friendships, which I'm truly grateful for, because the people that I have close to me are my true champions and partners now in my life. And it realigned my value system completely as to what is most important to me and what really, truly matters. And it's been an incredible evolution.
I think that's wonderful. And even being able to, people are so great to give advice. And you're like, wait, but I didn't even ask you for that.
Right.
So you could have kept that opinion to yourself. So yeah, it is nice when you clean it up, because we only have but so many hours in the day. So we have to figure out who we're going to spend that time with and how we're going to spend that time. And when you get to that place where you know your key people and you know who's in your corner, life does get sweeter by the
so
hour.
much sweeter.
Right.
And I think
I mean, is it even
think I had a lot of friends. Like, oh, I've got tons of friends. And now I'm totally okay with having tons of acquaintances and a few close, deep friends.
Right.
yeah, getting chills as you speak, by the way. And man, Terry, when you said advice, it's like, is it really advice that people, because when Tiffany was talking about that, that also keyed into me. And then when you said it just now, it's like when people give that unsolicited advice, most of the time it's like a thinly veiled judgment. It's not really advice at all. It's just their opinion on their disapproval about something, who you are, what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And people just don't even think about what they're saying or doing. So yeah.
Right.
So Tiffany, who is the book for? Like at what point should someone get the book? When they're already in a blended family, when they're thinking of it, if they're gone through the experience, and like if it was a kid who grew up in that situation and they're out of it now, who's your book for, and what's the book about?
My book, to be transparent, was written for my family because I thought if nobody ever picks up this book and reads it, I want them to know the thoughtfulness and the love that I poured into getting us to blend. So it was truly for them, first and foremost. For other readers that may enjoy it, I would suggest this book to any parent, male or female, of any type of blended family to pick it up and read it. It's considered a tiny book. So it's just a little book, 80 pages. It's meant to be a quick read for busy families. But I think that you will find humor. You will find encouragement. You will find authenticity and good examples of what worked and what didn't work. So at any point in your blend, pick it up and read it. And then I've loved that kids of blended families have read it too. And these are adult children. I haven't had any younger children say anything, but if you are an adult child of a blended family, I think you'll learn a lot, because the stories aren't just about my blended family. They're also about my individual kids. And any parent knows no two kids pop out the same.
Right.
So it may help you there too.
Well, and clearly other people are feeling this same sort of love and the same sort of spirit that the book was written in, because it sounds like you just hit like the top, what was the credential that it was like you've already sold
top 100
copies.
Yeah, I've sold 500 copies of the book, which is great because it's a small independent book. So in the 2.5 months that it's been out on the market, it's selling well. And then the Shelf Independent Book Awards was a really happy surprise of being picked top 100 independent books of 2020.
That's wonderful. What's the easiest way for people to find you to purchase the book?
blendednotstirredbook.com.
Okay. Perfect.
You can link, it has several links there to shop. You can get it at any major retailer online, one click with Amazon, barnesandnoble.com. But what I always encourage is to shop local and hit up your local bookstore, because if they don't have it on their shelves, they can certainly order it for you. And our local bookstore in Albuquerque, Bookworks, is one of my very favorite independent bookstores. And they are selling it in their shop, and they have a few autographed copies. So if you want one of those, check out Bookworks.
Yeah, that's a great store. We are so lucky to have Bookworks in this market. And hopefully, when the book is done, maybe you can have an evening where you can go and do a talk. And
I hope so. I really hope so. That was the other interesting part about marketing the book as it came out, and not having the opportunity to do in-person events, which is my specialty, is in-person events. So I had to get really creative with some of the marketing we did.
Maybe we could have a virtual happy hour party for you or something, and just invite
I would love that.
people and, welcome everyone in, and that would be really fun.
Anything that has happy in it and hour as the second word, I'm so in.
I love that. That's amazing.
That would
So I do want the last question for you, unless Terry has other things, or if I have other things as you talk and then I get inspired. What would be your best piece of advice for anyone who's watching and they're in a blended family? Like, what is one of the most important lessons that you learned?
You have to give yourself grace. You have to. It is really, really hard. And being a parent, period, is hard. You always second guess yourself. You get super frustrated with your kids and then frustrated with yourself if you think you kind of botched it, you know? So give yourself some grace, give yourself some time out, connect to your greatest support system who will give you the true support that you need rather than the advice or the judgment. And keep your communication open, because it's really okay to tell your kids, I screwed this one up, or I wish I could have done better, or how does that make you feel? Or if this happens again, what would be a better outcome? You know, keep the questions going and just come from a place of grace and humility when you do the talking.
I love it. Can I ask, how old are your kids?
Well, yes, you can. Okay. Because as of tomorrow, I will have raised 2 daughters over the age of 18. So I know, I'm like, my work is done. Just kidding. It's not done. It's never done. But my oldest is 20. She'll be 21 in just a couple months. Okay. My youngest will be 18 in a couple days. My oldest stepdaughter is 18. And then we have a set of boy-girl twins who will be 16 in the spring. So I have 3 kids that live here full-time and 2 stepkids that live on the west side of Albuquerque, and they visit frequently.
Wonderful. No, that's so great. I look at you and I'm like, how can she have children of those ages?
I have really good genetics because
we're 8 or something.
Yeah. My parents still look super young too. So I think it's genetics.
That's good. That's good. And living
right. Incredible.
And celebrating often. So.
Celebrating, my tagline is leave nothing uncelebrated. And I try to apply that to every part of my life.
Perfect.
I am going to write that down. That's incredible. Leave nothing uncelebrated. I'm getting chills again as you talk about all of this. So, and for now, we were talking beforehand, and for 2021, you're doing something extra with your book, right? And Blended Families?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
So,
and go ahead.
No, so what I'm really excited about is I will be releasing a second part of Blended Not Stirred in early 2021 that will be a journal for parents to use that kind of expands on the topics covered in the book and goes into a few other things that aren't mentioned as far as blending your family, managing feelings, managing situations, and kind of giving you an outlet to kind of self-guide through the process. So I'm really excited about that. And I will start posting more blogs on the Blended Not Stirred website. I've been trying to build my readership and my subscriptions. So please do take a second to subscribe to the website, blendednotstirredbook.com, because funny stuff happens in my house every day. And it's funny to me, but, you know.
I think it's great. Right. And I also, it would be so helpful, even as this continues to unfold for you, to take that even to another platform like you are going to do with some of your other things that you have your hands in. But I can really see you being such a big support for so many people everywhere.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to speaking again. I hope that once we kind of open back up, I am available to speak to your group, your workshop, your coworkers, in any way, shape, or form on any of the topics that are passionate to me. And with my event business, Hello Tiffany, which is hellotiffany.com, I do a lot of event strategy coaching now. And because I specialize in live events and marketing through live events, I'm going to be releasing some event videos on there, like event master classes that you can watch. So whether you're a new event planner and you need some tips or some guidelines to take it from good to blowing it out of the water exceptional, or if you're a DIY planner, I can help walk you through that.
I think it's great. And the two kind of really work hand in hand, because I think a lot of parents too are, what are we going to do for the birthday this year or whatnot?
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to be able to really reach a lot of people.
Well, you know what's fun, I think, and people may disagree on this, and I'm experiencing it this week with a milestone birthday for my daughter, is it's been a really great time to readjust what's important to you in celebrating giant milestones.
Right.
And maybe setting, different goals or different times for that special birthday trip or that anniversary trip or a reunion that you might have missed, and creating something new and memorable, because I don't think anyone's going to forget 2020.
No, I don't think so either. And I think anything that you have hands on, or anything that you are helping someone else have hands on, is just, it's going to be a success. It's going to be a great birthday party. It's going to be a great everything. So I encourage everyone to reach out to you. You are really one heck of a special, beautiful woman, and we're really lucky we have you right here in Albuquerque, and we're so happy you're back in the Fem City group.
I am too. It was so special to me for a very long time, and I knew when it was time to pass it on to new leadership so that the group could change and evolve and grow. And it is one of the most powerful connections you can make, is to be a femfessional, 100%, locally, globally.
It's really fun, and I always tell people it'll work if you work it. You have to show up, and you have to participate, and it will definitely work. And there are amazing women in this network.
Mm-hmm. They're incredible.
And if you're watching us on YouTube or listening on one of our other platforms, Fem City is a professional women's networking group across the United States and also moving into Canada. Mm-hmm. So when you hear us around like Fems or Fem City, we're talking about that organization. And we could probably drop in a link below wherever you're gathering this information if you want to find out more details about that. So
let's do that.
blendednotstirredbook.com and then also hellotiffany.com are places to reach Tiffany. And Terry, where can folks learn about you or reach you or connect with you if they have questions or things they would like to share?
The easiest places are LinkedIn, Terry, Terri, last name Dean, Dean. And you can find me on all the femcity.com sites as well. And I'm pretty accessible. Or just drop me a message here if you're watching on social media.
Right on. Yeah, seriously. A kind message.
Yeah, we don't want to leave mean messages because we're super sensitive.
Pumpkins.
What'd you say? Sensitive pumpkin. That was so brilliant. I took a note of sensitive pumpkin. Yes, that's brilliant. And you can find me on CandiceThomasIntuitive.com, or we check the comments. You can also slide into my DMs. Which I joke, but I'm serious. It's like I have to relearn how to do that, but I do respond to stuff that's not gross on social media. So Candice Intuitive on Instagram or Candice Thomas Intuitive on Facebook. So thank you all for watching. Tiffany, thank you so much for being a guest. We're definitely going to have you back on, and we might collaborate and do some other things, I'm thinking. So thanks again, peeps, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.